We are mock drafting today. Dynasty rookie mock draft, just round one in today's video. Round two will come out probably tomorrow in your time or my time, whatever. No one knows when you're watching this. Important to note, it is February 22nd. We are a week before the combine starts. So if you're watching this in April, keep that in mind. It is February 22nd. A lot can change from now until when you're going to be doing your Dynasty rookie drafts, but it's so important to make sure that you're kind of doing these mock drafts, watching mock draft videos, staying up to date on what's happening from February on so you don't get too swayed by risers and fallers when it comes to the draft season. And we're just going to jump right into it, guys. Today is again, Dynasty rookie mock draft. We are doing a Superflex 12-team Superflex non-tight end premium. PPR, half PPR doesn't really matter too much for Dynasty. You can do however you'd like. Just trying to figure out a good spot to put myself in. Here we go. Dynasty rookie mock draft. Hopefully you can see that okay. Superflex non-tight end premium. And we're going to jump right into it. I am using a mock draft, an NFL mock draft from NFL.com. So there is some landing spots here in our world. I'll leave the link in the description, and I'll kind of, as guys get drafted, I'll mention where they were mocked to. And so we're living in this world of this mock draft. So without further ado, we're going to start off. And again, this is a Superflex mock draft. And to me, in Superflex, there's a tier one is 3 players. It's Caleb Williams, it's Marvin Harrison Jr., and it's Jayden Daniels. That may surprise some people, but I think Jayden Daniels has an argument to be the 101 in this draft, given for fantasy football, his rushing ability. His rushing ability is on the level of a guy like Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson. So in this draft, in this mock draft, Caleb Williams did go number 1 overall to the Bears. I'll probably take him, and I'm going to try and do this in terms of how I would draft these players, but also maybe a little bit of, well, this is how I think your rookie mock drafts are going to go as of now, February 22nd. So Caleb Williams, I'll take number 1 off the board. I know people are going to argue Marvin Harrison Jr., and that's fine. That's why they're in tier 1 for me. If you want to make that argument for Marvin Harrison Jr., be my guest. If you play in a 10-team league or an 8-team league, I don't mind taking Marvin Harrison. If you play in a 12-team or more Superflex league, I'm probably going to take the quarterbacks. They're just so much more valuable. Go ahead and do your Dynasty rookie or your Dynasty startup drafts. And how many quarterbacks go before, in general, how many quarterbacks go before wide receiver 1 comes off the board? Whether that's Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, or CeeDee Lamb. It's probably 6-7 quarterbacks, right? And then Justin Jefferson's taken. Maybe he's taken higher, maybe not. For sure, the top 4 or 5 picks are quarterbacks. So if a quarterback hits, think C.J. Stroud last year. If he hits, they are just worth so much more than any wide receiver or quarterback could, or running back could give you. So I will take Marvin Harrison Jr. here, number 2 overall in this draft. Kind of chalk. He goes number 3. In this draft, it's not chalk. The Bears actually trade back up to the pick 103. So I assume from what was it, 109 or something that they had? They trade up from 103 and they take Marvin Harrison Jr. So you get Caleb Williams, and that's another thing. Caleb Williams, in this world we're living in, he gets to throw the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. and DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. Give me that as the 101. But yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe not the best landing spot in terms of, DJ Moore's still there, but I think there's plenty of passing yards, receiving yards to go around, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is just too good of a talent to not be taking in the top 3. And everyone knows that. So Jayden Daniels would be my 103. Again, if you have a top 3 pick, I think you're in the first tier of players in a Superflex draft. In this mock draft that I'm basing this off of, Jayden Daniels went 2 overall to the Commanders. And I think the Commanders are a sneaky good spot for a quarterback in this draft. You get Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, maybe Curtis Samuel, Brian Robinson's there. You have a new coaching staff coming in. So, I think there's much worse situations. You got 2 good receivers to throw to, in my opinion. So that's my tier 1, guys. Again, I could see it. Jayden Daniels being number 1, Marvin Harrison being number 1. However, if you like someone more than that, that's fine. That's why they're in tier 1 for me. Next, I think we have another tier of players, and I'm going to narrow down to tier 2. Is for me right now is just 2 guys. It's Drake May and it's Malik Neighbors. Okay. I'm going to take Drake May here. Again, I just think quarterbacks are so valuable in Superflex if they hit. And Drake May in this draft, he's going 104, right? He's a top 5 pick. So, he's the third quarterback taken, but he's the 104. So he goes to the Broncos in this draft. The Broncos trade up and take him. I kind of like that spot. Sean Payton, offensive mind. As of now, you still have Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy there. We'll see what happens. But, I like that spot for Drake May. And then at the 105, I'm going to be taking Malik Neighbors, who honestly, in my opinion, is not that far off from Marvin Harrison Jr. I know all the attention goes to Marvin Harrison Jr. because of his dad. And obviously he's a really good freaking receiver. He's the size, speed combination and the production that he's had and everything. He's been the number one receiver for the last couple of years now for this draft. And, but I don't think Malik Neighbors is that far off. I really, really don't. I think there's a bigger gap, in my opinion, between Neighbors and Odunze than there is who's going to be probably the wide receiver 3. Neighbors and Odunze versus Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. So if you have a top 5 pick, you should feel pretty excited. To me, this is how the top 5 should go. Again, it's February 22nd. A lot could change, but I think all of these guys that are taken in the first 5 picks here. By the way, Malik Neighbors went 112 to the Cardinals. So the Cardinals traded out of the 114 with the Broncos, and they still get Malik Neighbors at the 112. So I like that, pairing him with Kyler Murray. And really, Malik Neighbors is the best wide receiver on that team from day one. So this, to me, is how the top 5 should go. And then it starts to get a little interesting, in my opinion. Now, in this draft, I will tell you that J.J. McCarthy was picked 13th overall and going to the Raiders. If that's the case, I actually would throw J.J. McCarthy. He would be my next pick here. And maybe you can make an argument for him over Malik Neighbors. Again, just given, 1, he's drafted 1 pick after him. 2, just given the nature and how good and valuable quarterbacks are to Superflex leagues. I think you can make an argument for J.J. McCarthy over Malik Neighbors. So maybe I have Drake May in a tier by himself with this draft in the draft world we're living in, and then Neighbors and McCarthy in a tier. Maybe that's how it should be. But again, ignoring the draft capital of a quarterback being taken 13th overall, you just can't do it. Whether you like J.J. McCarthy or not, you can't. You got to quarterbacks are so hard to scout and to know who's going to be good or not. So I kind of lean towards trusting the NFL in that sense of like, he's a first round quarterback. I got to take my shot on him. And then after this, guys, to be honest, I'm going to go Rome Odunze, who kind of falls in this draft, not where necessarily he's been being mocked as a top 10 pick a lot. In this mock draft, he's going 114 to the Saints. Still a top 15 pick. I really like Rome Odunze. I think he's the clear-cut wide receiver 3 in this draft. And I think you're happy. Again, you look at this draft board, picks 1 through 7. You should be really, really happy if you have a top 7 pick, if it plays out this way. You got 7 guys here that are going in the top 15 picks overall in the NFL draft. That is amazing. And that's not even to mention Brock Bowers, who a lot of you are probably wondering, well, what about Brock Bowers? He went 105 to the Chargers. So personally, in a non-tight end premium, I just don't know that to be a true difference maker at the tight end position, you have to be Travis Kelce-like seasons where you're 4 or 5 points per game better than tight end 2. And if you just look at last year, Sam Laporta, tight end 1 last year, awesome player, great dynasty find if you got him. He averaged like 11 and a half PPR points per game, right? And his difference maker was, if you compare him, he was probably equivalent more to a top 12 to 15 wide receiver, right? You have to be not just tight end 1, you have to be so much better than tight end 2, or you have to be, one of the top 3 tight ends to really be difference makers. So, I'm a little lower on tight ends and non-tight end premiums in my opinion. So just looking at this draft, Brian Thomas Jr. goes 17th to the Jags. Now, again, I have to not just do exactly what I would do. I would, kind of have to lean towards, okay, how do I think the draft's going to go? And I can't deny that Brock Bowers is going to the Chargers and Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. I can't deny that someone in your league's not going to fall in love with that and with that idea, and they're going to take him. They're not going to let him fall that far. So I will take him here at the 108, and I think that's fair. That's kind of where I've had him in my mind over the last few weeks is the 108, the 107, 108, depending on where, if another quarterback goes in the top 12, like a McCarthy or Bo Nix. And so that's the first 8 picks here, guys. Again, Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison, Jayden Daniels. To me is a tier 1, according to this mock draft. Tier 2 is Drake May by himself, who goes 104 to the Broncos. And then tier 3 is Malik Neighbors and JJ McCarthy, in my opinion. Malik Neighbors goes 112 to the Cardinals. McCarthy is going 113 to the Raiders. And then we have probably Odunze and Bowers probably belong. And the next guy, if it plays out this way, Brian Thomas Jr., who goes 117, 17th overall to the Jags. I think you can kind of throw him because in this draft, Odunze went the 14th overall pick. So only 3 picks separating Odunze and Brian Thomas. And honestly, Odunze is going 114, 14th overall to the Saints. I like Brian Thomas's landing spot a little bit more, so that might be the tiebreaker there. Again, I like Odunze a little bit more, his profile. So I'd probably still take Odunze, but if you like both Odunze and Brian Thomas Jr., and they go 3 picks separated only by 3 picks in the NFL draft, and one goes to the Saints and one goes to the Jags, you're probably going to lean the guy that goes to the Jags. Me personally, I think there's some red flags in Brian Thomas's profile. Not saying he can't be good, but there's just some red flags there that make me a little concerned about his ceiling. So, I'm a little bit more of a fan of Rome Odunze here. So we have 3 picks left here, guys. And I'm going to be honest, it's tough. There's actually 2 first-round tight ends, by the way, in this mock draft. Jatavian Sanders going to the Dolphins at 21 overall. I think what I'm going to do here in this draft is actually take another quarterback. There's a quarterback who had an awesome landing spot in this mock draft. He went second round, 33rd overall. First pick of the second round, 33rd overall, Bo Nix. Bo Nix to the Vikings. I guess they traded up in this mock draft. Bo Nix to the Vikings, 33rd overall. And even though there's a receiver and tight end still that's in the first round that haven't been taken, Jatavian Sanders and Keon Coleman, I'm going to lean towards Bo Nix over those guys because, again, the quarterback's so valuable, especially a quarterback going to the Vikings, who their offensive system just puts up top 12 quarterback weeks. Doesn't matter if it's Nick Mullins, Kirk Cousins, Joshua Dobbs, whoever's playing quarterback for them puts up like a top 12 week. So, hopefully he gets to throw the ball to Justin Jefferson. Maybe he sits behind Cousins for a year, which is fine. And then, he takes over. I think he's a good fit for that system, just a super accurate quarterback and kind of manage the field. And he's thrown to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. So I can't deny that. And then I'm probably going to round out this draft with, there's still a first-round receiver that hasn't been taken. I personally don't think he's going to go in the first round. That's Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman out of FSU. I'm not, again, there's some red flags to me in his profile. But at the same time, I do have to respect draft capital as well. And the next receiver taken after Keon Coleman is going 15 picks later in Adonai Mitchell at the pick 40th overall. So, I do have to respect this is a first-round receiver, and those guys should probably, for the most part, be taken in the first round of your rookie mock drafts. This is tough. I'm going to kind of break a rule here a little bit, in my opinion, and I'm going to kind of reach for a guy when we start getting past the top 40 and you have multiple second round receivers. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, sorry. 1, 2, 5 taken within the second round that are separated by about 20 picks. I'm going to kind of go with the guy that I really, really like over maybe the guy that's drafted higher. Adonai Mitchell and Johnny Wilson are second-round picks that are drafted higher than this next guy that I'm going to take, who's taken 60th overall, and that is Xavier Worthy. I'm a big Xavier Worthy fan. There's just a lot of green flags for his profile. Now, his size is a little bit of a red flag. His production from his first to second year in college is a little bit of a red flag. But the fact that he broke out at 18 years old, he was an 18-year-old dominating the team's receiving yards. He was productive every year at college. He's maybe the fastest receiver in this NFL draft. He's always open. You see him catch the ball. There's no one within 5 yards around him. I'm taking Xavier Worthy because I really, really like him a lot more than the two receivers that were taken ahead of him, Adonai Mitchell and Johnny Wilson. So Xavier Worthy, he goes 60th overall. He goes to the Bills as well, which I love. Again, probably no Gabe Davis there. Stephon Diggs, we'll see. Maybe just one more year with the Bills, and then he's out. And, we're concerns about his production. So, Xavier Worthy can go in. And in 2025, we'd be talking about him being the number one wide receiver for Josh Allen. So there you have it, guys. Again, how the draft goes. A Superflex Dynasty rookie mock draft. Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison, Jayden Daniels, to me, is tier one. Drake May is just outside of that tier because I just think there's an argument to be made whether you want Caleb or Marvin Harrison or Jayden Daniels number one overall because of Jayden Daniels' rushing ability. I don't think you can make that argument for Drake May over Caleb or Daniels. So that's my tier one. Next, according to this mock draft, Drake May was alone in tier two. Most mock drafts, Malik Neighbors is also in that tier two, but in this one, Malik Neighbors went 12th overall to the Cardinals, whereas Drake May was the 4th overall pick. JJ McCarthy at the 6th pick, again, went to the Raiders with the 13th overall pick in this mock draft. Can't deny that. Can't deny the draft capital. A first round, a top 15 pick at quarterback is just too valuable in Superflex to pass up. Roma Dunze, who went 14th overall to the Saints in this draft. I just really like him. I think he's kind of the clear-cut wide receiver 3 at this point in time, February 22nd. And then I took Brock Bowers, who did go 5th overall to the Chargers. Again, I'm personally a little bit lower on tight ends and non-tight end premium just because they have to be not only the tight end one, but they have to be Kelsey 5 points better than the next tight end one season to be a real difference maker. And I just don't know if Brock Bowers is going to get there within a couple years. He definitely could. I'm not denying that. Brian Thomas Jr. is the pick 109. A guy that I'm not super high on, but he goes 17th overall to the Jags. Again, when I say not super high on, I still think he goes in the first round. I just don't know what his ceiling is. So I made a Dynasty rookie profile video that you can check out where I talk about some of the red flags in his profile. And then I take Bo Nix. Bo Nix went, he was the first pick of the second round in this mock draft, went to the Vikings. I love that. I took him over a wide receiver and tight end that were drafted in the first round. So Bo Nix, I'm taking here. Keon Coleman was the next one. He was the last first-round wide receiver according to this mock draft, and he goes 25th overall to the Chiefs. I don't even think I mentioned that, but good. Obviously, a good landing spot there to the Chiefs. He'll probably be the 1B to Rashee Rice, and then I rounded out the draft. I reached a little bit on a guy I really liked, but I think that's okay when you start talking about second-round rookie receivers. Who are all taken in that mid to late second round. If there's a guy you really like, reach for him. And Xavier Worthy is one of those guys, goes to the Bills. So there you have it, guys. That is my Dynasty rookie mock draft Superflex non-tight end premium. The first round. We'll be back with the second round in tomorrow in YouTube world. And we'll also be putting out a one quarterback mock draft as well. So as always, like and subscribe, guys. We're going to be putting out a lot of these pre-post combine, pre-post NFL draft. So give us a follow, give us a like. We'll catch you guys then.